So what is a class variable? So inside class, outside method. So how do we access class variables? So we have to access class variables only with class name. So maybe inside the class or outside the class. So you have to access through class name only. Okay. So how do we access instance variable? With the object or self, correct? No, with the help of self or with the help of object. So this is the major difference between instance variable and class variable. Is it clear? Let us see one example. Okay, now in this class test, okay, so do I have any class variable? Yes. Now we can see that clearly. So we have given name as class variable only. So is it a class variable? So why it is a class variable? So because it is inside a class outside the method, or here outside the constructor. Okay, now after this, so inside this example, do we have any other variable? So what type of variable do we have here? So instance variable, correct? No, so you can see the name also. So you have clearly specified, okay, the name as instance variable. So this is nothing but instance variable, and this is a class variable. Okay, so is this clear? It is clear, right? Now after this, what I told, so if you want to access instance variable, so now tell me, if I want to access this instance variable outside the class, so how can I access? So using object, right? So without creating object, is it possible to access? It is not possible to access, correct or not? Okay, now if I want to access class variable, so how can I access? By using the class name. Now tell me, if I want to access the class variable, is it required to create the object? Is it required to create the object? Yes or no? No, correct? No. So if I want to access the class variable, so I have to use the class name. So I'm not supposed to use the object. So no need of creating object also. Is that clear? So now same thing you can see here. So this is a constructor. So now inside this constructor, I have created a variable. So this variable is nothing but instance variable. But what about this variable? So this variable is nothing but class variable. So class variable, because it is outside the method and inside the class. Similarly, so this is nothing but instance variable. So why it is instance variable? So because it is inside the constructor, and moreover it is having the self dot. Okay, and moreover it's having the self dot. So you have to see all these 2 points. Okay, now this is a instance variable. Now here I'm writing print test1 dot instance variable. Now tell me, what will be the output of this code? So what will be the output of this code? No, only about this one I'm talking about, print test1 dot instance variable. So correct? No, it will check. So test1. So test1 will have what address? So object of this particular class. So object of particular class called test. So it will go to that object, and inside that object it will search for class variable. Now is there class variable? So it is there. What is the value inside class variable? 10. So this 10 will be, sorry, not 10, 20. So this 20 will be printed. Similarly, test dot class variable. What will be the output of this code? 10. So you have to understand this point. Okay. Is this clear? Okay. So we can access instance variable with object and dot operator. Okay. So remember this point. Okay. So now how many types of variables we have seen? So what are they? Local, global, instance, class. Correct? No. So where we can create global variable? So in the root level. So by the root level I mean, so in the starting, that means outside everything. So outside class, outside method, outside everything. So similarly, where I can create instance variable? Inside the constructor. Correct? No, only inside the constructor. Similarly, Class variable. So inside the class, outside the method. What about local variable? So inside method header or method body. Now tell me, can I create a local variable inside a class? Can I create a local variable inside a class? So if I, yes or no? So if I create a variable, or if I create a local variable inside a class, so what type of variable it will become? So this point you have to, okay, remember. So if you are creating any variable inside a class outside the method, so that kind of variable will be considered as class variable, not local variable. Okay, is that clear? Okay, so same thing you can see here. So we can access instance variable with object and dot operate. Okay, and how to access class variable? By using the class name. So what is the class name here? So class name is test. So if I give test dot, so I can access the class variable. So test dot class variable. Is it clear? So we can access the class variables with class name and dot operator. Okay. So this is all about class variables. Is it clear? So now what you have to do, you have to find the output of below code. Okay, so I have given one example here. Okay, so here I am showing each and every possible type of variable. So how many print statement I'm having here? So four, right? Now what I want you to write the output of this one. So now I am creating the object, right? So now inside the object, okay, so inside the object or inside the constructor, I'm printing something. We are not recommended to print, but still for this example, I'm printing inside the constructor. So when I execute this code, so what will happen? So the constructor will be called, and whatever printing statement you have given in the constructor, so even that code will be executed. Yes or no? So now tell me, when I'm creating the object of this code, so what will be the output of this four print statement? Tell me fast. So first of all, tell me what will be output of this one. So local variable. So now when I'm executing this code, so test1 is equal to test. So what it will do, so when I'm creating the object, so this particular value will be given for the parameter, correct? So whichever constructor is having parameter, so that parameter will be receiving this value 10. So now local variable will be storing 10. Now I'm writing self dot instance variable is equal to 20, correct? Now after that I'm printing print local variable. So what will be printed? 10, correct? No. So local variable is having value as 10. So is it correct way of accessing local variable? Correct? No. So local variable is present inside the constructor and I'm accessing inside the constructor itself. So is it possible to access? So definitely yes. So it will give me output as 10. Now what about this second line? So why 20? So we can see your self dot instance variable. So what type of variable is this? So instance variable. So what will be the value? What will be the value stored inside this instance variable? 20. So when I print self dot instance variable, what will be printed? So definitely 20 will be printed. Now what I'm doing here, I'm writing test dot class variable. Is it possible to print test dot class variable here? So it will give me output as 30. What about this one? Why error? So when we have to use global function? So am I having same variable names here? No. So what I told, so when I was discussing about globals, I told it is better to use globals. Why it is better? Because the searching will be minimum. So now when I'm writing directly global variable here, what it will do? First of all, it will search inside this constructor. Is it present? Is it present? No. If it is not present, then it will search outside that one. Got the point? Got the point or not? So first of all, it will search locally, then it will search globally. Do we have any global variable called global variable? So we have. So what is the value of that one? 40. So will I get output or error here? So will I get output or error here? So what will be the output? 40. So definitely I am going to get 40. So this 40 will be my output. So is it clear now? So are you able to make out the difference between local variable, global variable, instance variable, and class variable? Are you able to make out the difference? Is it clear? Okay. So now you have to tell me output of this one. So this you have to write in your notebook. So make it fast. So yeah, so even write the, okay, so you can paste the output of this code inside the chat itself. Okay, so for online students, so write it fast. Yes, so here you can see, so all the variable is having same name. So now here you have to identify the output, or if you are going to get any error, so that also you have to specify. Okay, so you can have same kind of scenarios also sometime. So you should know how to access which kind of variable. Okay, so now tell me, in this second example, will I get output for every code, or I am going to get any error? Am I going to get output for every code, or I'm going to get some error? Okay, now let us see one by one. Okay, now let us see one by one. So when I write assignment is equal to assignment of 10, so what it will do? So it will assign the value 10 to variable. So variable will be having value called 10. So now if I print variable, what will be the output? Why 10? So if I'm not using self, and if I'm not using class name, that means definitely is a local variable or global variable, correct? No. So now first of all it will try to search locally. So do we have any variable called variable? So definitely yes, we have, right? Now what it will do, it will print, what it will print? 10. So that is correct. Now self dot variable. So self dot variable. So do we have any instance variable here? So definitely we have. So what is the value stored there? 20. So 20 will be the output. Similarly, assignment dot variable. Now tell me to which variable I am pointing here. So class variable. So do we have any class variable called variable here? So what is the value of that? 30. Very good. So now here, so what I'm trying to do here? So directly I'm referring to, so global variable. So now tell me, do we have any global variable called variable? Yes. So what is the value of that? 40. So what will be printed? 10, 20, 30, 40. So remember this example. Okay. So we can have variables of same name of different types. Got my point? So we can have variables of same name of different types. So you can have same variable name for class variable, for global variable, for local variable, and instance variable. Okay, but you have to be very careful when you are using local variable and global variable. Apart from that, it is very clear, because for instance variable, how we are going to access? By using self or object dot. But what about local, that one? So class variable, so directly through class variable. So now let us see same example inside our PyCharm editor. Okay, now let us see same example in our PyCharm editor. Okay, so what I will do, first of all, I'll create a variable. I'll create a variable called A. A is equal to 10. A is equal to 10 or A is equal to 100. Okay, now after this, what I will do, I'll create a class. So class called test. Now inside this class, what I will do, I'll create one more variable. A is equal to 20. A is equal to 20. Similarly, I'll create one constructor here. Okay, so def init. Now inside this also I'll create one variable called a, and similarly I'll create one more variable self dot a is equal to a. Self dot a is equal to a. Now what I will do, I'll write print. So print a. I'll write print a. Now again I'll write print self dot a. Similarly I'll write print test dot a, and similarly I'll write print a. Okay, now tell me if I create the object. Okay, if I create the object, so let me create the object first of all. So t is equal to test, and I'll pass 50. Okay, now tell me if I execute this code, what will be my output? So what will be my output? Output. So what will be the output here? 50. Output here? Very good. Output here? Output here? Why error? Why error? First of all, tell me why error. Huh? So it will be pointing to which variable? So local variable. So what's the value of local variable? 50. So now if I want to access global variable, what changes I have to make? So I have to make use of. Okay, first let me execute this code and show you the output. So 50, 50, 20, 50. Correct? No? So I got the same output. So now what I will do, I will write the changes here. So what I have to do, I have to write globals. So after globals, what I have to do? So how to pass the variable name? So square brackets, single quotes, yeah. Okay. So now if I execute this code, what will be the output now? Entire output. So output of this one, 50. Output of this one, 50. Output of this one, 20. Output of this one, 100. Now let us check. So 50, 50, 20, 100. Is it clear? Types of variables. Okay, so with this we have completed types of variables. Okay, so remember how many types of variables are in Python? So 4 types of variable. But if you go for any other programming languages like C++, Java, okay, so there you have only 2 types of variable. That is nothing but global variable and local variable. That's all. Nothing extra you have. Okay, but when you're coming for Python, okay, so because of this also, so you may get one interview question. So what extra variables or what extra types of variables you have in Python? So you may expect this question. Okay, so what is that? So instance variable and class variable. So this is a difference. Okay, is it clear? Okay, so the answer is no. Okay, so can I print class variable inside method using self keyword? No, it is not possible. So self will be using only for instance variable. Okay, so remember self will be only used for accessing instance variable. So if you want to access class variable, I told right. So if you want to access inside class or outside class, so you have to use class dot class name dot particular variable name. So that is the only way of accessing. Okay. And one more interesting question. So can I access local variable outside method? Okay, so it is nowhere possible. Okay, so not only in Python, in any programming language, it is not possible to access local variable outside of that particular method. So wherever you have created local variable, in that particular place only you can create. Okay. Okay, so what I'm trying to say, okay, so you have some restrictions. Okay, so this is not the recommended way by Python. Okay, this is not the recommended way, and we know that, right? So Python is very flexible, so you can access, but it is not the recommended way which is recommended by Python. Okay, so remember you are supposed to access only instance variable. Okay, so all these things we'll learn later in deep. Okay, so don't worry. Okay, so if I want, I can access any variable anyway, but that is not the recommended way. So later you may feel some complications. Okay, so we'll see all these points. Don't worry. So is that clear? Okay, so with that we have completed. So yeah, so I will not start this topic today. Okay, so we'll start types of method tomorrow. Okay, so we have different types of methods also. So this topic will start tomorrow. Okay, yeah. So this topic will start tomorrow. So that's all for today. So if you have any doubt, you can ask now. So if you have any doubt, you can ask. Or what I will suggest, no, first of all, you just try to go. Okay. Okay. So you go, you practice all these things. Okay. So